Hi guys, welcome to Let's Talk. Tonight we have an amazing friend of mine coming on who's a huge inspiration to me, and he is to many others. He's one of the most unassuming, great talents of our time. He's a true innovator, a master craftsman, and a wonderful educator. And I give a big welcome to Dove Palmer. And let's see if we can get Dove in as soon as we can. Oh, there he is. Hi, Dove. Do we have Dove here? Anyway. Hi, Dove. How are you?
Hi, Paul. How you doing? Let me get my head
doing, mate?
in
You
this
look
thing.
great. What a beard.
Yes. Do you know, it's the first opportunity I've had for years. And, you know, with my children, every Christmas I've wanted to grow a big old Santa beard. So this is my opportunity while I'm in quarantine to see how big I can get it. And as you said to me before, mate, I'm trying to, for those older people who know what we're talking about, to get that David Bellamy look.
You look like David Bellamy. You look like a mod David Bellamy. If you cross David Bellamy with Liam Gallagher, you'd have Dove Palmer. So listen, Dove, the thing about tonight is, the terrible thing about these things is they only last an hour.
Yeah, I know.
And we talk so much, you and I. We talk all the time. And trying to get the essence of what we love about our craft and what we love about the industry and cutting hair is going to be a tough call in an hour.
Yes.
But I want to start off by asking you, in the current isolation, in the current place where we find ourselves, I mean, do you find that restrictive at the moment? Is it curfew in what you can do, or do you find that because you tend to spend a lot of time practicing what you're doing, that actually it's giving you more time to do that? Or how you get your days in?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same for everybody, Paul. It's the biggest curfew is obviously not making any money. We know surviving, but we're, you know, everybody's in the same boat. Everybody's getting on. Everybody's, you know, surviving. For myself and the team, this has been a great opportunity because when you're on the road all the time, most of our education system, what I do is I quite organically develop it. So I present a lecture and I'm thinking, well, you know, maybe I could say this in a different way. The graphic could be better. Right, that needed to be in a certain position. But when you're on the road and you finish late at night, you don't feel like going back to the hotel room doing it. So at the moment, we've got a great thing going on. I don't know if you guys out there know Greta. Greta's one of our directors of education. She's in charge of running our website. So she's developing our new website, which have all our courses, opportunities to sort of work with us on our education sort of packages. I've got Tamas. Now, Tamas is doing a lot of lives. He's doing a lot of lives, actually. So I'm giving him the opportunity to practice that, to work on his presentation skills, but also something that's very, very different in front of a camera is actually getting the right angle. Yeah. So people can actually physically see what you're doing. And myself, what I'm doing obviously is behind the scenes. I'm putting education together, working on that. We've got a fantastic project, which hopefully we can talk about in the hour, which is the Precision Cutting Championships, which actually takes more time than I was expecting.
It's huge. It's a huge thing. I mean, obviously, I'm involved in that with you, and I mean, it blows my mind just the amount of emails coming in every day, the amount of WhatsApps, and it's a full-time job. Yeah. It's a full-time job for you guys, and it's a full-time job to keep an eye on the work that's coming in. But there's been some amazing work coming in, which is making it very exciting.
And do you know what's really exciting is that it's not just the UK; it's globally. We've got so far 8 groups involved, but within that we've got different countries involved in separate groups. Like the UK, we've got Ireland and the UK. We've got we've got Croatia, but all the surrounding countries. You know, so it's actually come to. I mean, if I actually look at it, it's probably about 10, 11 countries involved at the moment. Which for the first year and the first sort of growth from it, I'm super happy with. And work being produced across the world. I mean, you're seeing some fantastic work. I mean, it's beautiful. I love it.
Dov, just because we're on this subject, and I know precision haircutting and haircutting in general is what you're passionate about. But one of the things that you and I talk about a lot at the moment, and it's a bit of a controversial point to start this evening with, is the sheer flood of educators
Yes.
on the global market. I mean, your job is you're an educator. You're a leading educator. I'm not an educator. But you are, without a doubt, in the top 10 of the global educators in the world.
Thank you.
How do you feel about the sheer scale, the sheer amount of people who now call themselves an educator over a hairdresser?
Okay. Do you know, to be honest, Paul, I've been educating since 2000, for full-time professionally, not in the salon, working continuously. It's the last 8 years that I think it actually changed perspective of education, because through social media, me and my previous business, what we did was we built our brand, but also built the opportunity for people to know about what was going on. But this came from an education background. Now, for me, what I'm seeing is that, I mean, listen, there's amazing people out there, but there's a big difference between being an educator and somebody who shows and tells.
Yeah.
That's two different worlds. Education is about giving information and then getting the person to retain that information and understand the information. Yeah. So there has to be a particular process that goes behind that. And we built a process that hasn't just sort of come out in a few weeks. It's been years of trial and error of how things work, how people react to things. And it's been built on the back of, I mean, Mark Twain.
Yeah.
American writer, and he spoke about education in a very, very sort of clever way. And I found that it actually fitted with the way we looked at education. So with that, Mark said, if I tell you something, you'll probably forget. If I tell you something and show you something, you may remember. But if I tell you something, show you something, get you involved, you will remember. So with the education system, what we've done is academic based, which is all to do with sort of like not just giving the information, but group activities, questions and answers. Then we have our demonstrations, which confirm that information. Again, it's group activities, question and answers, and then our workshops, which do exactly the same thing. Now, this is built up from years and years of education and doing education, and it's quite a strict sort of journey that our team go through to education. So with that, what's today is I sort of see it a little bit like the talent shows you see on TV. Yeah. There's Insta-famous people. There's people who have a talent. They go on stage. Some are good, some are not so good, and some people get a chance. But what's happening there is they don't have the background or the experience or the knowledge of building up through the industry. So what there is out there today is there's a lot of fantastic people, but it's not knowing how to actually put that information into words so people can retain it. So for me, looking at this, the Insta-famous educators at the moment, there are some good, there are some bad, but the realism of it is that the detail, the understanding comes through many years of experience, practice, understanding, culture as well. Culture's a big thing about this. If you look at the greats, all the great companies, they have a culture. Maybe not good. Some are good, some are bad. You know what it's like. This can create angels, it can create monsters. But what it is, it has a history behind it. It's like anything. Would you go to an Insta-famous dentist? Can you imagine? I'm going to go to somebody. Why are you seeing him? Well, he's on Instagram. Yeah. He's looking really good there.
Well, you say that, but there are very, very famous cosmetic surgeons, and they make their livelihood and their fame is attributed to Instagram, because you might not go to an Insta dentist per se, but if you see an Insta star who's got great teeth, you want to find out where they had their teeth done.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
I think, and I think that's the point that I'm trying to make here. For me, I'm more concerned about what the attraction of being an educator is.
Yeah.
Because I can tell, for me, the attraction to being a hairdresser is still a huge magnet. Yeah. I still love calling myself a hairstylist.
Yeah.
you know, and when people call me other things, and some of them aren't particularly nice things, but when they call me other things, like an educator or a mentor or a platform artist, I get slightly embarrassed by it, because all I really want to do is cut hair. Now, you are an educator.
Yeah.
There's absolutely, you're a teacher. And I think that for me, I would like the distinction to be clearer, because you quite rightly pointed out there, there are people who can show and tell. And basically what they're saying is, in some cases, look how clever I am.
Yeah.
Right? And there are people who say, I'm going to give you the gift of knowing how to do this particular piece of work. Yeah. And that is a very, very specific gift in itself. It's not one I possess. It's one I've seen you possess. And it's an absolutely amazing gift that is very unique to certain individuals. But just moving it on slightly, because there are a lot of things. I mean, when did you start thinking that precision haircutting was what you were interested, as opposed to just free-flowing, carving out shapes and, you know, blasting them dry? And because it's not just cutting hair that you teach how to dress precision haircuts, because I've seen you do it.
Yeah.
And it's not the way people think. It's a whole craft in itself.
It's interesting, because where did it start for me? Well, I actually started hairdressing when I was just coming up to 30. Yeah, I was actually, I originally wanted to do something in the art world. Wasn't really the opportunity, or I lived in Somerset, which is the south of England, so you don't really get much going on down there. And the college that I wanted to go to, the course that I was going to do, just closed that year. So I had to do something else, and my mum said, get out and get some work. So I went and became a painter and decorator, and I did that till I was 30. And I started off, and you know, I went to many different educations, different classes to learn and understand things. And I remember one day, I worked for a gentleman at one point called Umberto Giannini. Umberto was British hairdresser, I think, twice.
Umberto was a very good friend of mine.
There you go.
Have we never spoken about this?
I don't think so.
Umberto and I were great friends.
Oh.
Terribly missed.
Yeah, I know. Do you know what? I worked for him for a short period of time, and it was actually really sad, because I remember it was the Christmas. He won the British Hairdressing Awards. He came into the salon, and he was really thin, and started chatting to him. And I hadn't actually worked with him, and I said to, you know, I'm really excited to you know, working with you in the future. He said, don't worry, I'm going to be back. And then within a month or so, you know, or a little bit longer, we lost him, unfortunately. But that was the sort of start off of me thinking about cutting and what direction I wanted to go in. And I thought, all right, I need to do something. And I thought, all right, I've got to decide where I want to go, what I want to do, and how I want to do this. Because I started late in life, very late in life. I mean, I was the guy that, I was an assistant, and I would be in the tint cupboard, blow-drying dolls' heads, setting them, cutting them, and then all the assistants would be laughing at me. You know, oh, what's wrong with you? You know, and I'm like, well, what's going on here? Because, you know, when you're a little bit older, you have a bit more direction. I've been out partying, I've been out clubbing, I've done all those things, you know, and enjoyed myself. And I realized I had to sort of knuckle down and do it. So I decided to move to London. Now, just before I moved, I went with the team from Umberto Giannini to Salon International that year. And I walked down through the main area. And actually, at the time, we were set up sharing a room with, the guys, Mahogany. We were set up Mahogany. Colin was next door. You know, we had all the guys there working away. And I was like, this is fantastic. Walked down into the main area, and I got up to this booth, and there was somebody on stage, on a video, cutting, and their action with their cutting scissor, I was like, oh my God, the precise, the purity, the control. I was like, this is fantastic. So that was my kickoff point to wanting to be involved in precision cutting. But I've got to be honest, Paul, when I started, I wasn't very good at all. You know,
yeah, well, none of us are good when we start.
No, but I think I was terrible. And and many years later, I was talking to one of the creative directors there, and I said, you were right on the border of us getting rid of you. And then just a few weeks before my presentation I had to do, everything just clicked, and I got it right. You know, and that was the start off of it. But what I found, and this was really, really interesting, when you have a big company, what you need to do is pull people into line to get people to understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. So if you give them too many options to develop, you know, I'm going to do thinning scissors, I'm going to do this, I'm going to dress, I'm going to do that. It's hard to keep a big group of people in control. Yeah. It goes all over the place. So they were quite closed down. This is the direction we're in. This is what we do, which I found very interesting. But after a period of time, I think actually after about sort of 6 years, you start to realize that's not the way. The industry is much bigger than just doing one way.
Well, most Sassoon people say that when they leave Sassoons, what they realize there is life outside Sassoon.
Yes, exactly. And with that, in the last 4 years, I started questioning myself. I kept asking myself the reason why. Actually, it wasn't me. It was the students, the reason why. I wasn't satisfied with saying, well, this is because that's the way we do it. Or we've done that for many years. Or this is how it is. So what I ended up doing is I ended up started analysing it more and making sure that I could answer the reason why. But not just answer the reason why, but make it as simple as possible. Now, as it went on through the years, we left, we started another company. And as I started the next company, I started to realise that actually every action you make is controlled not by your hands, but by your body. You know, if I want hair to go left, where am I going to stand? Left. You know, if I want hair to go up, where's my elbows going to go? Up. So on and so on and so on. So I started analysing it in looking at controlling body position as natural as possible. You know, ergonomic body position, but most importantly, balance. And my big question always is to the students is, when are we most in control of our body? When we're balanced or unbalanced? Well, obviously, it's when we're balanced. So then started analysing body position, control of body position, how I can maximise using my body to do the haircut. So, for example, if I've actually got a comb here. Now,
as if by magic.
Yeah, I don't know what it was doing there. It's next to my scissor, my hairdressing kit. No, it's not. You know, if you want to make tension on a comb, you don't have to pull it harder. You've got options. You've got the wide side. You've got the fine side. You've also then, with that, you've got your body. If I make a nice soft holding of the hair, so I'm not too tense, I can keep my fingers straight. If I keep it nice and soft, but at the same time I use the finer side of the comb, it gets more tension, but then I step, but keep myself balanced, I will get more tension. Instead of me adding more tension through tension in my body. So this was the basis of how it went. And so over the 8 years, that developed more and more and more. And then in the last 2 years of my previous company, I was very lucky to get a young lady called Greta. A year into that, I met a young man called Tamas. And these guys understood exactly what I was talking about. You know, and they've for me as a team as well, they've helped me sort of produce it and develop it. All our education systems developed. But what I realized as I went on through hair, and not just hair, I mean, not just precision cutting, because that's my forte and what I love doing, because I love those styles. I love that work. But with that, what I realized, with that, if you understand your body, you can control your body, whether you use thinning scissors, whether you use razors, round brush, you know, whether you use the texture in the hair, whether you point into it, blunt cutting. If you're in control of your body, you're in control of your body. And understanding that is the maximum thing. So for me, it is about precision cutting, but it's actually about controlling what you do.
Yeah.
And that's where my main love comes from.
I just want to take you back to something that you just mentioned there, because we're going to go off on a tangent here. But one of the things I've noticed about Palmer & Co., which may be something that's new, I think it's something that's new to you as well, is you've recently started to collaborate more with other artists outside your own company.
Yes.
I mean, I know you've linked up with people all over the world, but most noticeably Andy Heisman at Rush, and of course you and I had a big collaboration towards the end of last year, which we'll talk about. But I think that's something that I've seen that change in you. Was that something that came with you developing Palmer & Company, and was it something you always wanted to do, or was it just a new sense of this is something I'd like to do now?
So, I mean, to be honest, we have to go back in the story a little bit. We have to go back to when I first started precision cutting. Now, the company that I was previously in, when the first company when I learned precision cutting is an amazing company. It's an amazing company. But as with every big company, every big group, every sort of high level company, there is a lot of competition. There is a lot of people who want to be the best, and they will do anything to be the best. To be seen as the best or be best friends with people. For me, what I found is that environment wasn't the best for me. I'm not the best at pretending and being, I just can't do it. I came from building sites, Paul. I was there. Someone rips into you about something, you laugh. You can't get on with it, But hairdressers are different. And this is what took me a long time to understand. Hairdressers are very, very different people, different creatures. So it wasn't really the right environment for me. And I made some wonderful friends. I mean, my best friend in the world, my best man, Jens Jochum, he's just the most beautiful hearted person that I've ever met. But a very different sort of person from the whole environment. Okay. And this isn't a bad environment. It just wasn't for me. Then I started the next brand. And unfortunately for me, most of the people we worked with, because how it worked was, because I was from education, I developed the education system and kept pushing it forward. I did all the social media, produced pretty well all the collections. I think about 10 of the collections I did. It was my concept, found most of the models and stuff, and developed actually a lot of the equipment. So I was on that side. My business partner ran the other side, and he did it fantastically. Amazing job at what he did. But obviously, when you're not involved in that side, the business, you have to work with who you work with. And I over that period of time, I got to meet some amazing people. I mean, some people are now very, very close friends of mine. But I wasn't in control of who I spent my time with, what jobs I did, where I went, how long I was there for. So when the new brand started, super, super lucky, because I then had a choice to be with who I liked, who I had bonds with, who I could spend time and have conversations with. I was super lucky because as that sort of thing developed, I met Andy, as I told you. We've become very, very close friends. Last year, for the first time, I met you, even though we've been talking, social media. And I think one year we tried to maybe meet up at a salon and it just didn't work. And can I tell that story a little quickly, how we got involved? Because,
absolutely, yeah.
I work with a fantastic company out in Russia, Shamushka. Now, Shamushka, they have one of the leading academies there. We go out there regularly to do courses. Alexei, the owner, is a very good friend of mine. We're very, very close. Now, with that, they do the Russian Barber Week, which is actually one of the biggest barbering competitions around. It's over the world as well, but there it's just fantastic. And I didn't realize what a wonderful culture it was. So the year before, I did a show. Just me on stage. And then so the next year he said to me, all right, I want you to be, with the headliners. So he said, but what I want you to do is I want you to pick who you want to work with. So I'm like, okay, well, I can have anyone. He said, as long as they're doing it, you can. So I was like, oh, and straight away, the first person that came into my mind was you. Why? Because I love the work that you produce. I love your style, and I love the way your style comes through with everything that you do, And I knew if we did something together, and I knew that you understood culture, music, history, and I knew that just when I meet you for the first time, there would be some type of bond there. Luckily, you said yes. I know it was a bit of a hard job. You're trying to get your visas and everything.
Oh, yeah, that was a nightmare, yeah.
And the funny thing was with that whole show, and maybe we can talk about it a bit more later, was that after the show, people were, oh, yeah, how do you know Paul? And I said, well, I met him 3 days ago. They were, what? I said, I thought I thought you're mates. You know each other. I said, well, we're mates now. But no, it was the first time. Yeah. And it was I was just super lucky to find a person that actually understood me. And that's going back through this. I'm going back to your original question here. Sorry, I go around in circles, mate. Going back to the original question is, I now get to choose who I can spend time with. And we're a big industry. There are so many heads in the world to cut hair on. There are so many people who need education that we can share this education.
Absolutely, yeah.
Share it together, and we can grow together. You know, there's no reason why, you know, I can't do a show or a course and have you involved or somebody else involved, and we all share what we're doing, because that's how the industry grows. And you know, for me, Paul, I am a late bloomer in the industry, but at one point, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, there was the key players. Nothing was shared, you know, throughout the industry. Now there's many players, many amazing players.
Yeah, and I think that you just, you know, you've struck a chord there with me, because I think that's one of the great advantages of social media, because it has brought us together. A lot of people complain about social media and the fakery and you know, the absurd time we spend looking and, you know, analysing and comparing and wondering if we're good enough. But the really good thing about it is we have now turned into our own PR people. We've now become our own. We're our own magazines. We have our own ability to edit ourselves, to make ourselves heard. We've got a voice, and I think what's really exciting is we can enter into these great collaborations with absolutely no sense of reproach, because we are doing it willingly, and we can create brilliant things. Now, what you haven't mentioned was that when I was in Moscow with you, because what people don't realize is that behind this quiet demeanor that you present, you're actually quite mad. And you decided on the second day that we were there that you were going to do a photo shoot on stage. Now, you had mentioned it before, but I kind of thought, yeah, we'll get there, we'll do it. And the thing that struck me about it was we only had 50 minutes on stage and we had 8 models.
I know.
And that collection, 20th Century Boy, turned out to be a landmark collection for both of us, because it was incredible. We shot it live on stage. The audience loved it. They loved the chaos, because it was chaotic. But the actual results are pretty special. I mean, I'm pretty proud of it.
I am as well, actually. I mean, just to elaborate on what you're saying, so me and Paul had the 50 minutes, and this was something that, which is always sort of, you know, to do something different, do something exciting. But can you tell about it, Paul? We started on a journey, didn't we?
Yeah. Well, I think the thing was we had a few conversations, and we both decided that what we want, because we're not barbers.
Yes.
And we didn't want to compete with the barbers, because they were brilliant.
Yes,
they were doing amazing. I mean, you had Josh LaMonica was there.
Yeah,
you know, the guys from Shoreham were there. Like, you know, who are we? Jesus Christ.
I know.
So we decided what we would do is we would create a segment called 20th Century Boy, which pitched the history of men's hairdressing through art, fashion, culture, and design. And we hammered together a video of music and styles and references and inspiration. We literally just threw it together.
Yes, we did.
Can you imagine how good it would have been had you actually planned it?
No, because what was amazing was that me and Paul sat down and we finished what we were doing, our prep for the day. We went and sat down. We had a bit of food for a couple of hours. We went through Googling. We got onto YouTube, downloaded music videos. We got the imagery that we were looking for, and we basically produced. It was the way the show went. It was music videos talking about what we love. We were pumping the music up, cutting hair, bringing models on, and then finally at the last 10 minutes, a photo shoot of us was set up on stage, and our photographer was amazing. These guys were amazing as well.
Yeah, they were great guys. I mean, because we give them characters.
I know.
And every single one of them bought into. I mean, you did this great look. It's maybe my favorite look. And I said when you were doing, I said, you know, that guy reminds me of Yves Saint Laurent. I pulled out this picture, and you changed direction. All of a sudden, you'd done this look and recreated. And the guy then put on a pair of glasses and he became Yves Saint Laurent.
And he played the whole thing.
And he loved it. And then our Bowie guy, the guy who played the Bowie guy, got... but look, you know, I think the thing that was exciting about that was it was authentic and real.
Yes, it was.
You know, it was real hair. People could see there was no airbrushing. There was no Photoshop. And you and I just had a blast doing it.
Yeah.
And actually, we were meant to do it again this year until this happened.
Yeah, I know. But we another time. But guys, just to let's say... The collection in the next few days, myself, I'm hoping tomorrow actually, we're going to release the pictures on social media, so you can actually see what we actually did. And to be honest, it is actually my first men's shoot, and I love it. I'm so proud of it. Absolutely crazy proud of it. So yeah, it was a very exciting event, and but for me, Paul, as well. I know you wanted to talk to me. I've been so many events over the world, and I've seen so many people do so many different things. And you sent me the collection, the show you did for Alpha Path last year. It was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. I actually showed it in one of my classes. The students sat there in Instramuscular, and they've got a 20-foot screen there, and they just sat there. And after it finished, everyone was just like, ugh. I was like that as well, to be honest. I was a little bit like it, and you're right. If we had a little bit of time, we could do something pretty crazy, I think.
Well, I mean, the thing about hair for me is, and I come from a different perspective, because for me, hairdressing was a way of getting out of school and being, getting to dress the way I wanted to dress and wear makeup and embarrass my children, which is what I do very well. But the thing that hair has always been for me is about people, and my shows and stories won't work unless they're about people. Yeah, that's what I'm interested in. Yeah. I mean, I'm not particularly sociable, as you know. When everybody else is in the bar, I'm in bed. But I'm a great voyeur of watching people. And of course, for me, hair doesn't work unless it's about the individual. And actually, I'm a great fan of bad haircuts with the right attitude. Yeah, yeah. You're right. I love that concept of when you've got that attitude, because that's what punk's about. And punk really inspired me. And even though I was too young for it, I just love the fact that, if you look great, or you have the right attitude, or you just wear something with that panache or style, it doesn't matter how well it's cut. Now, that goes against the grain of what we're talking about, but it's reality.
Well, I mean, it's funny you say that, because when we do our courses, and we talk about suitability, we do classes on it, and how to work through balance. I mean, something that's very, very important, and I'll go back to what I was just about to say, but, haircut is not about... it's not about that everything looking perfect, but it's about the balance to the individual. And that doesn't mean to be a balanced haircut, but it has to be balanced to the individual. But on the other side, if somebody is so cool, somebody is so got the right attitude, it doesn't matter what you do to them. They will look fantastic. And that's what we have to do in the industry. We have to actually analyze what person is needed for what situation. It's not all about these high hairlines and shaving bits off. It's about it looking fantastic. And
that's why I wanted to. That's why I'm bringing, because somebody who I'm a huge fan of, who does the opposite to what we're into, is Tom Connell. And Tom is he's so free and so natural, yet he creates these beautifully feminine, gorgeous, ethereal shapes that you kind of look at and you go, you could only do that if you had that natural understanding of what hair wants to do. And he chooses the right people to put them on.
Yes, yeah. I mean,
he understands who they fit.
Yeah, this is the thing, isn't it? It is actually, at the end of the day, and I say this to our classes, what's more important, the perfect haircut or a haircut that looks perfect? Looks amazing, I mean. Well, it's a haircut that looks amazing every time. I mean, if you can mix the two together, you nailed it. But
when's the last time you went to the head of hair with a pair of thinning scissors?
I do use them, but I think
I've never seen you use them.
I've
never seen you use them.
2 years ago, I did the global, the Goldwell, what's the competition? The Colour Zoom.
Oh, the Colour Zoom, yeah.
And I did a little blonde girl, and what the idea was, she had very short hair anyway. Took it very, very tight on the sides. Okay, I left length out at the front, actually connected with the length at the back. Very short fringe, but I cut this very flat, and then it went back into a point. So I cut that all solid, blew it up with the hairdryer, so it all went up fluffy, and then I went lightly over the surface, so it went into little pines. So it was cut technically, but then to get that pine effect, the equal balance, almost.
Yeah, but you cheated. You cheated. You cut it technically. That's that. You can't cheat.
No, that's true. I should have just smashed it up.
I think one of the things, we've got loads of questions here, Dov. People I mean, everybody loves you. Nobody seems to love me that much, but they really love you. But one of the questions that people ask, and I think it's a good question. Well, there's Stephen from Davines, weirdly enough, after talking to Tom Connell, he wants to know who your idols were. Now, I know that's a pretty formula question, but I've actually never had that conversation with you. Who did you look up to when you were training?
All right. So when I was training, all right, that's very interesting. Obviously, where I was, we had such amazing people who changed the industry and kept people on, kept everybody else on top because they were striving to go there and be there. So for me, over that period of time, I was very, very close to a gentleman called Stacey Broughton. When I qualified, Stacey, I used to go on my days off to the academy and do models with him. And to be honest, a lot of those ideas that were coming out at the time, he was trialing on me when I was, not physically me, but getting me to do them on models. And, we would share information. And he inspired me as far as how to break the rules, how to go in a different direction, how to think actually really, really differently. I've got to say, he was probably one of my main at that time. And I think you know what it's like, Paul. You have different inspirations, different people you look up to as you go through the industry. As I sort of gone on and I look at what people do and the beauty of what people do, I've been very in awe of the beauty of the work, even though it's strong, that Richard from Seiko does. It's fantastic. He has this,
I'm a huge Richard fan.
That is just fantastic, Also, some guys that became friends of mine, and I really, even though I'm not doing that work, I can appreciate the skill, is the Expression Boys. Their work is whoa, I would say I don't want to be, saying you, everyone else, because I'm here having an interview. But on the other side, again, somebody I've become very close with, very good friends with, is Josh from Monaco. Now, Josh has just asked you a question, and I think it's a great question.
Josh is on the line, and of course we worked with Josh in Moscow, and he is one of the most charismatic. Yeah, if not, he is the king.
Yeah,
I mean, he's and in Russia he got mobbed. They thought he was Elvis. He made us look like what do you call Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
I know.
But Josh wanted to know if you could go back on your career. What would you change anything? And if you would change anything, what would it be?
All right. Would I change anything as I go back in my career? To be honest, not much, because everything's led to where I am now. But what I would have done is understood that I cannot change the way people are, the way they think, the way they want to do things. And this has only actually come to me in the last year and a half. And that's been my biggest regret, because, you think people can change, or you can fit in somewhere. And I've realized it's just not that way. So I think my biggest regret, and if I could have changed, is to have a different attitude, understanding that I just have to do what I do. And I had to be a little bit more careful what I said and who I said it to. you know what it is. It's the thing is, Paul, what I don't want to do is I don't want to compromise. I don't want to sit here. I could sit, and the interesting thing is I'm like you. I don't, unless I like somebody, I don't really, and I don't mean I dislike anybody else, but I don't open up to who I am. So I'm not very good at sitting there and saying to people, yeah, that's brilliant. I like that. Oh, yeah, you're amazing. And da-da-da-da. I only say it if I genuinely mean it. But I should have learned that the industry we're in is not that way. So my biggest regret, if I could have changed anything, was understanding, I can't change people. And then I should have been a little bit more clever in certain situations, But we all think that, don't we? We all go through that.
Oh, listen, my daughter Ava is the questionnaire this evening, and she's got a question. Is it for Dove?
It's for both of you.
Okay.
So what is the highlight of your careers?
Okay.
Is it a day in the salon or an award?
Okay, and who asked that question?
Connor Mick Ireland.
Okay, so this is my ex-assistant, from many years ago wants to know what the highlight of our careers are. Now, the reason he's asking that, Dov, is because he thinks he was the highlight of my career.
Was he the highlight?
Well, let's put it, we had some highlights together.
Yeah.
Connor was a great kid when he worked for us, and he actually won. He won Junior of the Year in the Irish Hairdressing Awards while he was working for us. So he was something. But he's given hairdressing up since then. And but it's a good question. What's been the highlight of your career so far? I mean, these are a bit formulaic, but I think people are interested. So
do you know what? Listen, I like shows, Paul. I like you know, being involved in photo shoots. I like, you know, doing these things and enjoying myself. But the real thing, and this is the reason that I travel most of the time. I stay till 9, 10 o'clock and work at night. You know, I don't have weekends off. It's when I see that sparkle in the students' eye and they get it. They understand. That's what gets me the most excited. You know, because you know, you try and teach people and you give them information and stuff, and it can go like this over their head, you know? And this is what I used to find with previously educating years and years ago. Students would come, they would come for the glory of being there, but I'm not saying they walked away with actually, they would, some would, but not walk away with them knowing everything that they should need to know. But as the years have gone on, when I see that penny drop, when I see that sparkle, when I see them get it, I mean, listen, I sit in my demos and workshops and things, and I see people smiling from ear to ear because they're understanding. And when they smile, I get energy. People ask me, why? How can you keep this energy from 9 o'clock in the morning to 9, 10 at night when you're teaching a class? We're all dead. And I say the same thing every time. It's you guys. Yeah. I see the sparkle. I see the interest. I see the excitement. And that's the biggest highlight of my career, is seeing when I see that sparkle and the understanding.
My introduction to you, and which you didn't see because obviously you don't follow me on Instagram. So
I did see it.
The thing that struck me about when I first met you is that you completely are unaware of any type of star quality or fame that follows you. It's as if you don't acknowledge it or you don't notice it. Yet, when we were in Moscow, people were literally chasing after you for autographs and pictures. But it seemed, I mean, which you were very humble about. But is it because you still think or you still feel that you're in the background of the industry as a mechanic, as somebody who facilitates people with skills and gifts? Or is it simply something that you would rather not indulge yourself in?
Do you know, it's interesting you say that, because I see what I'm doing is I'm not Robert De Niro, I'm not Al Pacino, I'm the guy that trained them. I'm their acting coach, you know, so that's my...
I'm Danny DeVito, by the way.
Yeah. He's got more hits. I don't... So, you know, for me, and also because of what we do, I've actually not until this year, really, or last year, been involved with any industry people. You know,
I took you to the British Hairdressing Awards. You kept asking, and you got awestruck when I introduced you to Andrew Collins.
Oh my God, Andrew Collins! I mean, listen, when I first started in the first week, he won the British Hairdressing Awards that year, and he did a show in Birmingham or Selly Oak or somewhere just outside, and I was like, oh my God. And I met him about 8, 9 years ago at the Louvre when they did Paris Hair Days. He was the most wonderful, humble man I'd met. So yeah, I was starstruck. And do you know what the funny thing was? You know, Tina Fey.
I know Tina and Andy are two of the nicest people in the industry.
They are the best. You know, I was going to say also about inspirations. Both of those guys, not just technically, but as human beings.
I agree.
Just fantastic. I get messages from Tina. Oh my God, I don't know if she's had a little drink or not, but she is so loving and caring and saying so much.
They rang me last Thursday, so yeah, I know what you mean. And I love their company. They're such great company.
They're such wonderful people. But she grabbed my hand and dragged me round the award. Sorry, mate.
we've got one we're running out of time, Dove. We've got one question that I think we have to answer because it keeps coming up.
Okay, Paul, there's a question from Daniel, aka Boy.
Okay.
How do you cope working with so many egos in the room, both positive and negative?
Yeah. Daniel Greenway, who has played the part of David Bowie in 2 of our shows, and is one of the most incredible actors and dancers. Every time we do a show, we look for an opportunity. Yeah. I did the Man Who Fell to Earth.
Wow.
Do you remember? Yeah.
Yeah.
So every time I do a show, I try to think of a way of getting a Bowie character in so we can use him. I could get literally Bowie into a Walt Disney pick at this stage. And he's just asked how we deal with egos. I don't actually work with anybody who has egos.
Yeah.
Whether it's dancers, actors, models, my team, all my collaborators, it doesn't exist. We just don't have that type of dynamic. We don't attract them. They're not attracted to us. All my team have been always very grounded. They're there. They're committed to the cause.
Yeah.
The models and the actors who I work with, we choose. Fleur Miller, who's my choreographer and show producer, she's got such a down-to-earth, natural rapport with people that she can spy a dick from a mile.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, if she knows someone's going to be trouble, she's going to let us know. So it doesn't happen. So Daniel, it's a great question, but I think you know that it doesn't happen in our shows. I mean, and I know for a fact there's nobody around you with an ego, Dove.
No, do you know, I'm super lucky. I've been super lucky. Listen, we've all been in those environments. Every environment, you know, we've all been around those, and then we choose whether we stay there or don't.
That's right. Yeah.
We spend time with these people or not. And now, like I say, in the last year or so, since the new venture, I've not had that problem in any shape or form, and I've just been with the people.
Do you think it's age?
Yeah, age as well. Age changes things.
Yeah.
You know, like I said to you earlier, I've realised I can't change people's thoughts. I can't make people do what I want. So, you know, I've changed my attitude with the whole thing. But it's, yeah, I mean, hey, you know, if someone's a problem, you don't spend time with them. That's it, isn't it? You know?
I mean, Dove, one of the things, unfortunately, about these things is we could talk all night. We could.
Yeah,
we could,
no. Well,
and,
you know, we'll come back again.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I do. Yeah. We'll do another one. But I think that one of the things that I think that, you know, to leave this on, because, you know, a lot of people who are commenting on how inspirational you are and, you know, how and the inspirational things you've done. If you could sum up what type of legacy you want to leave.
All right. What do I want to leave?
And you've got 3 minutes.
All right. So what I want to leave for the industry is I want the industry to be the best it possibly can by understanding what it's doing and then be able to make the choice what they're going to do. I want to leave a group of people that will, you know, understand what I'm talking about so they can put it forward, but with the same passion and love that I do. But I also want the industry to, for me, I want it to be left that that I gave as much as I could. You know, that I worked as hard as I could, and, you know, I let as many people get involved as I could. For me, there's no reason that our industry can't be the same standard and the same levels as, like, chefs, for example, you know, Michelin star chefs. We can have that. Michelin star hairdressers. We can have an industry that have the best. All it is the right direction for education and understanding how people take information in. I think that's the key thing. Okay, here's a question for both of us. Yeah. Which I just seen coming up. A standing ovation at a show or an award? What I want. What would you choose? None. I don't. No. I'm not into the awards. It's not something that I do. And that actually brings, can I talk about the competition? But standing ovations, they're nice, but I would rather everyone is sat in dead silence. You're not answering the question. Which would I rather have? If I got to say one? Yes. I'm the compere. God, that's really difficult. So, I mean, a standing ovation is good for your ego, and an award is good for your ego. But maybe the award would be better if it's for education, so that then I could spread the education further. That's a great answer. Thank you. That's a good answer. Listen, Dove, we've got 20th Century Boy coming out. Yes.
We have the Precision Haircutting Championships.
Yes.
If anybody wants to know what there's a Precision Haircutting Championships Instagram page that they should follow. The first round is being judged next week.
No, we've got another week and a half. So guys,
another week and a half.
If you're out there and you want to put your work in, you've got another week and a half, go to the page. You will see the rules. It's a 3-stage competition. The first 2 stages are on mannequins. There's set looks that you have to follow. No retouching. No, white walls, clean backgrounds. And then you get judged by the best in the world. So this is for people who are confident in what they do. Even if it can be for people who are not confident, because there's no walls, there's nothing blocking what you can see. Everybody can see. So that's going on now, and then it's going to have a couple of more stages from that. The prizes are phenomenal. Some of the best scissors in the world, education with the teams.
Brushes from Denman.
Denman, my God, they're giving the black box.
I know, it's amazing. I've seen it.
I know, and they're logoing.
Dove, we have to go. Listen, thank you very much this evening. You've been, as always, a superstar. It's a pleasure speaking to you. Hopefully, we'll get to talk again on Let's Talk.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, my friend.
Maybe we'll flip it over and you can come on mine.
Let's do that.
All right, man. I'll
speak soon, mate.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye, guys.